the end of Game of Thrones is, well, it was bad. It was not great, it was not terrible, it was, well, what it was. Well, I remember how we got a new series each week, and I remembered as tones of hatred were put into Benioff and Weiss heads. But why? Why the ending of Game of Thrones was so bad? You see, we have maybe two reasons. Maybe 3 or 5 reasons. Okay, well, what I can say that the cinema is a very complicated product. A lot of people are doing the cinema or the series. So, if somebody can fail, so he can fail. So he will fail. Well, how to say it? That I will say that we have a lot of opportunities to take a mistake. If you write a book, so you are a writer, and then you have a book, you have a text, and you can change it whatever you want. But if it, series, so you have a lot of editors, a lot of businessmen, producers and actors and writers, and if one of them will fail, so the whole show will fail. So what were problems with that series? Where are they? So let me try to give you an answer. First of all, it is the final. Nobody likes finals. Nobody. Well, you like these characters. You like this world. You like all of this. You like everything. You like to live with them. You like, to be with your family while you're watching this series. But when this show, finished, you don't like it. When this show are finishing, you don't like to stop this. You don't like to stop watching Doctor House, Sopranos, I don't know, and Babylon 5, anything. We just don't like finals. I don't like finals when I read a very interesting book and I understand that it's 3 or 4 pages and it will be done. I don't like it so much. It is the first reason. The second reason, because it is not a final. It is not a final at all. What have we got? We have got 5 main characters. Tyrion Lannister, Arya Stark, Daenerys Targaryen, and Jon Snow, Sansa Stark, and Bran Stark. They are all alive. Daenerys Targaryen were dead, but anyway, all other characters are alive. So, it is not the end, it is not the final. We cannot say that for so much they live long and happy. Arya Stark went to somewhere west. What have she found there? Then Jon Snow went to north. Did he ever meet this Night King or the others? What happened with the 7 kingdoms further with that Bran Stark? What about Sansa Stark? She should be married and she should find a husband and whatever. So you see, it is not the final for example, Sansa Stark. The final would be if she was married and if she would have children. So this is the end for her. Bran Stark, okay, he can rule sometimes, but what next? What will happen with him? You see, it is quite a lot of problems here. quite a lot of problems. It is not the final, the end, because creators, they have something for the future. They have some hooks for future. Okay, the next problem. Well, you see, we don't have books. We don't have books, and I can say that there are two professions. So these creators, Benioff and Weiss, they just don't know how to make show. They don't know how to make ending. Well, I mean, they don't know. Well, maybe they know the plot because maybe George Martin, he have said them about the plot. But we don't. Okay, if you are writer, so you should write a book, and they should take your book and make from their book the show. It is the everything. You cannot make the show for the author. I mean, so if you have a book, you have some dialogues, some scenes, some plot lines, and you should just adapt them to the show. And it is very hard work. The book is huge, it's tremendous, but the show is very short. It's only 10 hours, and the book, it is hundreds, it is thousands of pages. And when they had books, they could make a show. When they haven't any books, it is the end. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't. It is different things. You see, we have writers and TV editors, TV producers, TV creators, and it is different job to adapt something or to make something from zero. If you are adapter, you just take book and put it on a screen. It is your work. It is not your work to create the world, to create the plot lines, to create dialogues or scenes. Your work is to adapt books. It is the other work. It is special, how to say it? It is like, if you can make a movie, it doesn't mean that you can make a series. If you can make a TV show, it doesn't mean that you can make a documentary movie. If you can make a documentary movie, it doesn't mean you can make an interview. It's different kinds of job. And if your job is to adapt something, it doesn't mean that you can make a show from a zero. So yes, we should blame Martin for the absence of books. It's not only his fault, but it is part of his fault. So, for example, why are 8th season are so short? Because they don't know what to put on a screen. They just haven't any material. They just don't know what they should to adapt, and so they can say, okay, we will make it shorter. Yes, we should have maybe 10 seasons, 10 series in each 10 episodes in each season, but they just don't have material. The next problem is, they just didn't explain anything. So, why is Bran Stark is the king? Because it is not Bran Stark, he is Brynden Rivers. Why is, why did Stannis Baratheon burn his daughter? Because he burned the most precious thing he had to as a gift to R'hllor. Why did Jon Snow stabbed Daenerys Targaryen because he always chose his family. He chose his family when he was at night watch, but well, his friends backed him, and then he chose Sansa Stark in the end, and they were not his friends. Why did Daenerys Targaryen burn the city? Because, well, first of all, there was wildfire. The second, she tried to make people good, but she failed, and all her close friends were killed, all her family were killed. It was enough for her. So, you see, well, we have a very good arc of her, but we don't have something like magic. We don't have more explanation. Maybe Benioff and wives got tired from the show. They worked on that 10 years. Maybe when show got popular, well, they just afraid to lose their audience, and they wanted to make show simple, more simple than it was. Maybe yet some other thing, I don't know. Well, we have some reasons. We don't have books. And you see, the show became very popular. And some politics started to speak about the show. And then if you are a creator, you understand that this politician said something about your show. Some women went to your office and they said something to you. Some public stars said that, hey, it is a very popular show, we don't want nudity here. We don't want, some blood here. And this all changed the show. I'm sorry, well, in the show we always had nudity, but in the last seasons I wanted to see Arya Stark and Sansa Stark, but I didn't see them naked. Because of why? Because somebody said that it is exploitation of women. Because of why? Because, well, so in the beginning I was strong man on a head. I had Robert Baratheon, Eddard Stark, Tywin Lannister, Stannis Baratheon, and at the end I had two women on their thrones. In the beginning I had a lot of nudity, in the end I don't have. In the beginning I had a lot of blood, in the end I didn't have it. I don't like it maybe. In the end it became conversations on a screen with a lot of conversations and CGI graffiti. And this why I think the show failed. Okay, thank you for your attention and goodbye.